If you're planning to move to Italy, I can imagine you've probably started the physical preparation. Perhaps you've begun researching what life is like in Italy on YouTube or on the internet. Maybe you've even started to look at housing options and the cost of living in this country. Maybe if you want to work here, you're already researching job opportunities and perhaps even starting to learn the language. And then, of course, maybe you are starting to wrap your head around the very thing that is so complicated about Italy, which is bureaucracy. But I'm pretty certain that there is one aspect that, at the very least, you may have only spent a short time considering, if at all. And this aspect has the capability to make or break your experience here in Italy. I can tell you this from first-hand experience. I've been living here now for 7 years at the time of filming, and honestly, I didn't pay any attention to this aspect, and I had a breakdown at the end of 2019. And I credit this aspect as being a contributing factor to that breakdown. So what is it that you need to consider? Well, of course, it is your mindset. This is something that is considered by some to be a little bit woo-woo, but I promise you, it is the fundamental foundation ahead of any practical steps that you need to take that you must focus on if you plan to move to Italy. But it's funny because people don't really talk about it very much. If you go onto YouTube, if you go onto the internet, if you research some of the courses that you can even buy about moving to Italy, they touch on this so briefly that in a blink of an eye, you could be forgiven for forgetting it's there. But mindset is something that deserves so much more attention, because do you know why? If you don't have a strong mindset, the literal second that things start to go wrong here, it could be that moment where you question your decision altogether and you essentially build yourself up to lead a very difficult life here in this country. Now, mindset isn't really a woo-woo concept in my opinion, because everything begins and ends with you, and everything really starts up here. Your initial idea to move to Italy started up here in your mind. And so it's interesting how quickly we forget that and we start focusing on the practical aspects, because we consider the physical aspects to be the stepping stones to what will actually lead you to your new life here in Italy. And on the one hand, that is true. Thoughts and words alone don't take you anywhere. However, on the other hand, if your mindset isn't strong, you are building your new life on very shaky ground. And unfortunately, it doesn't really prepare you for the realities of what it can be like to live here in this country. Now, when I moved to Italy in 2018, I really got stuck into the practical aspects of this move. I'm a double Virgo, so I'm all about planning and organizing and getting stuff done. So you can bet your bottom dollar that as soon as I moved here, I was so focused on the paperwork and the bureaucracy, especially because at that point I had the date of Brexit looming in the not too distant future, that I was so consumed with this process, I didn't even give a second thought to how I was feeling about it all or what my mindset was telling me. I was just all about taking the practical steps. And whilst I did complete all my paperwork in a really efficient way, and I did everything that I needed to do, I hadn't realized that the other side of life here in Italy was really impacting my mindset more than I had cared to think about. Making connections here isn't easy. And that is something that I really struggled with in the first year and a half, not being able to communicate properly, trying to adjust to a new way of working here and different working conditions compared to what I had personally have been used to back in the UK. Trying to wrap my head around a different mentality and culture here. None of that was easy. And there were other factors that led to that point of my breakdown at the end of 2019, absolutely. But I do credit the whole experience of throwing myself into this new life head first, not really kind of taking a moment to sit with my feelings and understand how I felt about it. I do think it was a contributing factor to my breakdown at the end of that year. And, this is why I think it's so important to talk about this. We talk about mental health a lot in the UK and in other countries. It's becoming something that is less of a taboo subject to talk about, something that is considered to be more important nowadays. But you don't consider that when you move here to Italy. If your mindset is not in a good place, if you haven't prepared yourself and thought about all of the aspects and really got comfortable with your decision about moving to Italy, you run the risk of really making your life a very difficult one indeed. Because you see, you need to have a strong why when you move here to Italy. You've got to have a deep-rooted reason for moving here, one that is going to sustain all of the difficulties that you will encounter. You've got to acknowledge the fact that you're going to change. You've got to process the fact that your life as it looks now is not going to be how it looks in Italy, and nor should you want it to be either. You're embarking on this for all the new lessons and learnings that you can gain from it, not to live a cookie cutter version of your existing life in Italy. You've got to realize that you're going to be dealing constantly with fear, the uncertainty and the unknown, because this is it. You're not going to have all the answers. You can spend hours meticulously planning your move here, but I promise you, there'll be something that will catch you unawares, because this is the way life is here in Italy. Not everything goes according to plan, and especially so the further south in the country that you go. So you're constantly going to be living with fear and uncertainty. And then, of course, you might even have to redefine what success means to you, because essentially success here in Italy has a very different definition to what success is in other countries. It's not necessarily how hard you work, but it's often to do with the connections that you have and the life that you're building for yourself in this country. And then, of course, you've got to be thinking about your support system. What are you going to be doing to kind of grow your support system in this country? Because as much as you might move here and think, well, I've got a set of friends back at home, I've got my family back at home, they're back at home. They're not here in Italy. And let me tell you, at some point, those friends and family members stop being able to relate as easily to what you're going through as they could when you were all living in the same country with kind of similar shared experiences. So there are lots of different things that you have to think about. And it surprises me that people don't touch on this enough. So I decided to do something about it. I have created my very first course focused specifically on building a strong mindset for your move here to Italy, because I know that everything begins and ends with you. If you have a strong mindset in this country, I can tell you firsthand, you will make a success of your life here. But you see, there's lots that you have to unpack to arrive at that point where your mindset is strong. There are lots of things that you have to consider about what your new life is going to look like and the type of person you are going to be in that new life. There are so many different things that you have to think about. And so I've created this 6-module course. It's a video-based course with accompanying workbooks and downloadable resources. It's going to get your mindset in tip-top form before you move here to Italy. This is the course that I wish I had seen when I first moved to Italy, because I guarantee you many aspects that I talk about in this course would have helped me tremendously at the very, very beginning. It's a course you can take even if you're just dreaming about Italy for now, because you never know. After doing this course, you might realize it's not the right dream for you. It's a course you can do if you're halfway through your planning, because essentially the sooner you start working on your mindset, the better the rest of your experience will be. It's even a course you can do if you're living here, because you can select the modules that are most appropriate for you at your point in your life and the journey that you're on. But essentially it's a course that I think everybody should do, because if you want to move to Italy, it is so much more than just the practical aspects. This is where everything starts from, and it is this that will make or break your experience here. It's this that will influence the kind of experiences you have, the people that you make friends with, the way that you immerse yourself into this life. It's this that will enable you to approach difficult situations from a different perspective. It all starts here with your mindset. If this course sounds like it's something you need, which I want to say I think it is, then you can find it up here in the link and also below in the show notes. But I promise you, whether or not you buy the course is one thing. It's there, it's a structured guide. It's going to mentally prepare you in every single way. There is one thing I want to say. Please do spend some time on your mindset before moving to Italy. I've spoken about this a lot on my YouTube channel because I know how important this is. You know, it's not just about the plans that you make. I've seen far too many expats and immigrants and people who move to this country regret their decision later on because maybe they didn't spend enough time really sitting with it and how it was going to influence their lives and what it is they wanted to gain from the experience. I don't want you to make that mistake. So go check out my course and essentially take some time today to really think about why you want to move to Italy, because I promise you this is time well spent. I will see you in the next video.